Hello guys, my name is Amit Sani and I welcome you on this daily Hindu announced video. In the morning these videos come, in the evening the MCQ lessons come. So I will always request you to watch both the lessons, and it is all for your advantage only. And one more important thing, one clarification from my side. There may be a difference in the ways when people analyze newspapers. According to me, whatever these experts are writing, I do not make changes in those things. With the original writing, I explain to you those things because already editor has edited many issues there, and it's all a limited space, and what they want to convey, that is conveyed in their original writing. If somebody is summarizing and making their own points out of that article, then according to me, that is a kind of an injustice for the article, because you need to understand that thing in their original writing there, because that has a certain meaning. Every line is a kind of connection with the other important text, so you cannot miss it and you cannot understand that issue. There may be a change of meaning after you summarize it or you make your own points and all. So I only take the original writing there and I try to explain there. So my only aim is to develop the critical thinking inside you. So I just explain this issue. It is not a kind of a spoon feeding for you people that you go through this lesson and you take the points and you will write that into examination. No, it is not like that. In the examination, these things will not be asked directly. You will write your own points. The main aim that is fulfilled when your original and critical opinions and the analytical ability is reflected in your answer writing, and that would be of your own. It will not be from my side. This is the understanding and the explanation that I am giving to you, and then you will understand those issues. You will have your own original understandings of the current scenario, and then you will write your own points. So that thing I wanted to say for the last 2-3 days, and that's important. So very sensitive issues are coming, like a Kashmir issue, Chief of Defense Staff issue, Afghanistan issue. All are critical ones, and the writings are very exclusive. You cannot summarize these things. Pocket News app is trending on Google Play, and download that. Regarding the affordable courses made by top faculties, the description is given below the video, and you can call on these numbers, and the chat section is available on the website here. So you can go for any kind of inquiry regarding these courses. PDF you will get here on this group, and you will also find the Telegram channel's link there. And this is the link. It is also given here. You can follow me on Instagram too. And these are the words I found on in the newspaper in these articles, and you must use these words. There are too many in number today. Now, two important articles and related ones. Trump calls, which says while India opposes third party mediation, it can expect US pressure on Pakistan. And here, free fall, no end to the Afghan crisis is in sight as the IS emerges as the third player in the conflict. Now see, from Afghanistan, okay, from Afghanistan till Chinese situation here, it is all a connected issue today, and situations have never been so unique, and the challenge has never been so huge for the Indian government to manage all those situations. You just see and look at the situation here. Trump needs a respectful exit from Afghanistan, and it had its all aspirations there after the war on terror, which extended till 19 years for now, but it could not gain much here. Taliban is way more stronger, and the new challenge of IS has appeared. Now see, IS certainly was suppressed in the Levant area, but here it is claiming a huge blast which killed around 63 people in Afghanistan, and around 200 others are injured heavily, and that was a kind of a marriage event that was going on, and they did a blast there. Now what it means it's a great symptom that there is a different claim by IS in the territory. Now who knows, is it a separate claim, or these forces, these Taliban, IS, these groups, they all are connected in the hindsight, and they are claiming different grounds just to oppose America's issue here, and they want to instabilize this area. Pakistan is clearly a support for these groups. Always it has been there, and it already it has said that the key is with us. That's why America is bound to talk to Pakistan again, and Pakistan always used to say this, that Kashmir's road must be clear, and the Afghanistan's clarity goes through Kashmir, and that means Pakistan indirectly says that Kashmir must be with us, and then we can solve the issue of Afghanistan for America. So this claim is very much troublesome for America. Now America understands that the Kashmir issue is a unique one, and Pakistan just wants to encash this fear created by these groups like Taliban and all, and that is nothing else. But clearly it has connections with Taliban and all these issues. Now fastly becoming a rogue state, Pakistan can go to any limit, and it can take any step which will be anti-India, and it can devastate this region for sure, because nothing is there in its hand. And in these last steps, as a democratic country, so-called democratic country in Pakistan, they can go to any extent, so that we must understand. And the Kashmir situation is very unique. The next article written by M.K. Narayan, the former security advisor, he also said in the previous articles, and again he is saying that situations are not according to us in this region. Iran's unstable condition, and it is opposing now many countries because they have not helped it, and America is putting enormous pressure there. Afghanistan situation is not in control of America. Pakistan has become important here. Taliban is way more stronger, and IAS has come up with a new challenge here in this region. So when it was America was discussing with Pakistan, then it was the region of Taliban. Now IAS is a different force here, and now it's a third claim. And the Afghanistan government is not able to do anything. The elections are due, and they were about to happen there in September, but now these kind of things are going on. So what's going to happen? It's all a free fall for Afghanistan. Just suppose the condition of Afghanistan's people, what they must be experiencing today. But who cares? It's all a game of big players, and we are isolated from this region, and in a way we do not have any stake there in that situation, and that's why we are connected with that issue. This influences us. This is happening in a very near neighborhood of us, but we do not have any stake there, and that's problematic thing. And that's why we say that we must be involved in that issue anywhere, but we are nowhere deeply involved in the Taliban concern. So now we are dependent somewhere on America in those sense, because America is directing some things here, and it wants some steps from India to be taken, and those also must be against China. So China is the main goal for America. So America wants to hit many aims there. It is targeting Iran, it is targeting China, and for China it demands India to be used as a tool against China. The way for the last 2-3 days Indian media, and that is no way responsible media, these third class journalists who do not have any expertise, and they are just experts of creating disturbances and social divisions, they are discussing the Hong Kong issue. Although we must discuss this issue, but this is a very sensitive time, it's a very sensitive issue, and we know China is certainly gonna impact the situation of Kashmir indirectly by supporting Pakistan here. So these issues must be handled with utmost care, and the officials and the experts and these think tanks, they must be involved in that management, not the normal public of India or the third class media of India. But this is happening, and we need utmost care, focus and efficiency here. But that doesn't look up to the level today, because you see Kashmir situation is about to unfold. We do not know what's going to happen, and many experts out of their experience, they have said that whenever there has been a conflict situation and people have angers, different kind of angers, and they have a kind of a aversion towards the main state, then these extremist groups, they encash the situation and they exploit the situation. We know nuclear wars are never been the option, and this is not an option for India or Pakistan today. They cannot fight the nuclear war here, because that is the end of the humanity. So the favorite method of Pakistan, that creating more and more problems, and now China may help it way more than the past. to Pakistan for creating troubles in Kashmir, because the Hong Kong issue is rising and we are raising that issue. So for sure China will create troubles there. The way it has helped Pakistan to convene that informal meeting in UNSC, although it was not possible for China to convene a formal meeting, it was an informal meeting. We do not know the real details of those talks and that meeting, but certainly it helped Pakistan there when no one was helping. Then that's for sure that in the future China is going to impact the Kashmir situation indirectly. So whatever China will do, Trump will be affected, and Trump will want India to go against China. That's for sure. And here it wanted India to get involved in Afghanistan situation, but we could not decide about those things, and we are affected, but we are not connected with that issue. And here the Kashmir situation is in front of us, and it is about to unfold. We do not know the democracy in which way they are, the demography in which way they are going to respond here. So all these things are connected. Here we know that we do not want a international intervention here, and this issue must be solved with a bilateral approach. That is utmost clear, and we have denied the Trump's claim that Modi ji requested here for the mediation. But certainly when things are going in an uncertain direction, then the Trump's pressure will certainly be there, because it is directing Pakistan and it is directing India also. It is saying to both countries that situation must be under control. And in this way, it's a kind of a desperation of America, which is totally visible in this entire region from Iran till China. And we are in the center here, and a lot of disturbances are going on. Here we have challenges in the economy also, and the Kashmir situation is going in its own way. We do not know for sure what's going to happen, because the communication lines are blocked, and the real response of the Kashmiris, that is also not open. Only official informations are there, which is given by the government of India, that situations are under control and schools are opening and all the peace is there. But that's not the 100% truth. Many other reports are coming. So the real unfolding of the situation will be in front of us. So the Afghanistan situation will be impacting the region, and when the region will be impacted, then Kashmir situation can be very, very sensitive. And if the demography is gonna turn against the Indian state, then certainly it is going to be a very drastic future for Kashmir, because it is going to be a conflict area, and these groups will demand more and more power and authority and the geography under them. And here Pakistan and China, they are going to support them, because all these things will turn against India and against America. Because already it was very difficult for America to discuss the Taliban issue, and they were bound to involve Pakistan here. And now IS is a new force here. So in which way things are going to unfold, we do not know. What Pakistan is doing behind the curtains there, we do not know. In which way the approach is going on with all these terror groups and all, we do not know. But situations are becoming more and more complex in Afghanistan, and here the Trump's anxiety is rising here, and it wants some things to be according to him, but we are also stuck here with many situations. So it has never been the situation in the past for the Modi government that they are so much puzzled with so many big issues, and simultaneously they need to take care of all those decision makings. And in this time, the announcement of creating the CDS post, that is also a huge decision, a huge announcement. And some more things are going on, like the no first use policy tweet by Rajnath Singh. So all these things are getting more and more complex, and we need a peaceful India here, and we need a peaceful approach so that we can focus on the problems, and the experts must contribute in those situations. So this is something as a background to these situations, to understand all these articles, because a lot of things are happening and nobody can blindly follow any other country. They cannot trust any other country. They all have their own aims. America has a lot of interests and its own aims. China is the target, Iran is the target, these groups are the targets, and Afghanistan situation is out of its control. So they all are trying for their own sake of interests. Here India is trying to save many situations, and challenges are there for China also. And in these frustrations, amounting frustrations, things may go very wrong. So all countries need to go patiently and with utmost care here, and India's responsibility is really huge here. So bigger articles are going to come on both these issues because things are developing in a very complex way. So many articles you will see in the upcoming weeks. And now we talk about the conclusion of this M.K. Narayanan's article. As many things I have explained to you, and all these things like federal imperative and the history of the Kashmir's issue and how things developed, how this is a problematic move, how constitutional provisions have a question for this decision here, and the global reactions and lessons we have seen. But the only thing that is important, that is the conclusion of this article, that we can hence anticipate a joint effort by Pakistan and China to muddy the waters as far as Kashmir is concerned. As I explained to you, they all will want, means the terror groups, China and Pakistan, in a single direction against India to muddy the waters. And certainly China is gonna give a indirect support because Pakistan cannot do all these things on its own. It does not have that capacity. It does not have economic power there. So China is gonna back it because America is tilting more towards America, and that is the biggest problem of China here. And that's why it may take a very strong stand against India very soon, because we are discussing the Hong Kong issue also. So that is also becoming a big reason for China, because it will never want something like that. And although it's a right for us because it is creating troubles in Kashmir, CPEC is the biggest issue, and POK we are claiming now, and certainly China will be moved with those things because for the CPEC road, this region was given by Pakistan to China. So that's the problem, and China's indirect help for Pakistan is problematic for India. So certainly we will raise this Hong Kong issue here, because it is balancing the Kashmir situation with regard to China. So that's all. But who is discussing and in which way we are doing that? If it is going to be a nationalistic issue in India, then certainly China will try here. And when these inefficient media houses, these so-called committed media houses of India, when they are discussing with the same way of irresponsibility, then certainly it's gonna create a lot of problem, because this issue will rise in India, and these talks are going on like ban Chinese products and all these issues are going on. So certainly things are very much emotive, but they need utmost care. We have to do all these things, but with a lot of care and professionalism, and the experts way must be applicable here. And Kashmir situation is going very sensitive. As I told you, across both Europe and Asia, widespread concerns exist that radicalized Islamist ideas, we have seen those examples in Europe. Wherever there are conflict areas, Islamist extremist ideas, they were flourished, and that's why they were having a lot of impact on youth. IS had a lot of impact, and that's why people from all over the world, these youth, they came to Syria and Iraq to fight the ISIS war there. So that was a conflict situation, and that was exploited by these groups. So that's why we need to take care here, and in which way Kashmir situation is going to unfold, that will tell about the decision, that it was a proper decision at this time or not, because they attach nationalistic agenda with everything. Kashmir was already a nationalistic issue. A lot of emotions were attached with it, and that was very much obvious. But at this particular time, when we took this decision, that how much wise this decision was, that would be told by the consequences of it. And we know some things are problematic. That's why the military is staying there, and they are trying to control the situation, because situations may go out of hand. And when some people who were under influence of these separatist agendas and all, they were against Indian state, and that's why we saw a kind of a struggle against the forces of India and the Indian state for the last 2-3 years. But now the numbers may rise with a big difference, and maybe most of the Kashmiris will now turn against India. There are possibilities. This is not information, this is a possibility that they may all turn against India by this move. So this situation can be very sensitive, and this may be exploited by the extremist ideology groups. So that's why it's a very uncertain situation, and we need to control all those issues, and management would be a dire need here. And as the writers say on the final word, the removal of Article 35A should not result in demographic aggression in Kashmir with outsiders seeking to colonize Kashmir. And that's why they have been warning against any kind of silly campaigns within India, when they said that we will buy land, we will marry Kashmiri girls, and all things can be very negatively developing against Indian state, and that whole demography of Kashmir they may turn against Indian state. And in those conflict times they will not remember the developmental aspect there, because this is the time of high emotions, and emotions are always dangerous. If they turn negative, then the situation may go out of hand, and that is something going on in Kashmir right now. The decision was right or wrong, we will not say anything, because we are embracing the government's move and we are in the support of government of India, but certainly we have to see the possible consequences there, and that's why experts are very much worried about those possible situations. Okay, next, a top post, its promise and apparel. Means perils are also attached with the CDS announcement issue. The post of CDS can lead either to a transformation of defense forces or could sink with a middle mandate. The writer says that the announcement was a huge thing, and these talks are going on since 1947, when Lord Mountbatten, he also wanted this kind of a decision to be made here, that CDS must be there, and he backed this decision there, that CDS can be a proper post here, but that was not decided at that time. And now the writer says that so the manner in which the CDS office will be established, this may set up the greatest and necessary transformation of the Indian military. That can be a great decision, that can be a game changer, or it may prove to be a naam ke vaste appointment, means a mediocre decision, or a decision which may disturb more than it will be helpful if it is not managed well. So there are conditions attached. Why? Because within services you cannot say that 100% consensus is there. Some challenges are there, and in the manner they are going to appoint the first CDS, and in the manner they are going to decide about the powers of the CDS, that will be very important, because things are not clear till now. And according to one report, an implementation committee which is going to be there, and that has been established, comprising the Defense Secretary, Chief of Integrated Defense Staff, and other unarmed officers are there. So in which way they are going to decide about the powers of the CDS, that's going to be the most crucial decision here. And experience of the defense reforms in other countries, okay, means they have also went through the defense reforms and all, and their experience tells us that qualified outsiders in this kind of exercises are better to adopt there. Now, resistance is certainly there, and in the first term Mr. Modi, they must have realized the aversion within the services to reform. So they decided to go for a particular conference, and many annual conferences were there of combined command conferences, 3 C's, combined commanders conferences. So it was a challenge that was given to these people, these commanders, that you come up with a plan, a proper plan where reforms are needed and a unified authority is also needed, because the times are changing, challenges are changing. So you come up with a plan, and they said that there is a temporary issue of Chiefs of Staff Committee, COSC, and right now the BS Dhanova, the Chief of Air Staff, who is heading it, and on a rotation basis, all 3 chiefs, they chair the temporary post of Chief of Staff Committee. They said that they must go for a permanent chairman of this committee, but certainly it was a rank below the CDS, because CDS is going to be above all these chiefs there. So this issue was not accepted by the Modi government. Now, because there is a condition that India is perhaps the only large military wherein the service chiefs retain both operational and staff functions, means the all 3 chiefs, they have operational and staff responsibilities, and these are 2 huge things, they are overburdened. So a new India, it will have to break decisively from the past, and they must draw a roadmap to divest the chiefs of their operational command, and that must be given to a integrated division, and CDS can be the best decision here. Now a better thing, a perfect thing in these times, what it can be. In 2001, IDS as a joint staff, integrated defense staff, that was created. Around 270 officers were there. Now it may serve perfectly as a secretariat to the new CDS office. And when we discussed that India's officers, these chiefs, they have two important functions, and some of the important duties must be relaxed here, and they must focus more on their core functions. So with all these issues, with all these annual conferences of the combined commanders, and with all their suggestions, one thing is clear: CDS decision is appropriate, and IDS, which is existing since 2001, that will well serve as a secretariat to CDS. But in which way they are going to consider the situations and all these recommendations, that is going to be important, because they are yet to appoint the first CDS there, and that decision is going to be very crucial. And the offices which are going to be there for IDS and CDS, IDS office is decided that it will be there in Delhi cantonment. Means it is proposed, it is not decided yet, it is proposed. But the writer says, instead of being these offices there in Delhi cantonment, the IDS office must be there in somewhere south block or the north block, and the office of CDS must be next to the office of defense minister, and that command is needed, because otherwise the CDS will not be having any impactful decision making authority, and this command is needed. Otherwise there is no meaning to create this kind of office which will not be effective. So being effective and a right decision maker is the ultimate need here, and all these learnings and the recommendations must be considered, and they must decide appropriately. And civilians should emphasize a joint staff experience as an important consideration for senior officer promotions. What that means? It means that IDS is there for the last 18 years, and these chiefs, they have served in this office, in this staff. So this experience is very much important in appointment of CDS, because that would need a joint staff experience, and that is there with some officers. So it needs to be checked, and the officers which are having this experience, they must be chosen for the job. This experience must be important in the selection. So that's important. And to assuage the fears of the smaller services, it may be wise to not let an army officer to first tenant this post, because there are some speculations that General Bipin Rawat can be the first CDS of India, but the writer says that it may not be necessary, although some speculations are there. But deep selection from the current pool of flag officers, it may not be needed, and they may go for some other alternatives, and they must find these alternatives, because the fulcrum of future defense transformation, and armed with a possible mandate to examine inter-services prioritization and long-term planning will also be there, and a new approach, a total overhaul is needed and will be there. So CDS can be a game changer, and according to this aim that it should be a game changer, all these decisions must be taken, and we must remember this vision that we need a complete transformation, and we have new challenges, and there must be a proper mandate, and important priority selection must be there. So that's the case, and this must not be another post with some glorification and without any effective powers. This should not be the case with CDS, because it's a huge decision, and many decisions as they were taken in the past, that in present we cannot tell anything about that, but the consequences will tell that what kind of decision it was, and the implementation is always controversial, like the demonetization issue, the GST issue, and now the consequences are telling about those decisions. And in this same way, it is also a huge decision by the Modi government, and in which way it will unfold and what kind of consequences we will see in the near future, that will only tell that what kind of decision it is. Okay, one more tussle which is always going on between the military staff and the civilian bureaucracy. Always civilian bureaucracy is over the defense apparatus, so they have a problem. Defense apparatus is having a problem with the civilian bureaucracy. They say that one person who was an IAS officer some years back in his service, and now those people are taking decisions about us, about our field, the defense field. That is not acceptable. So some things will improve with the CDS decision, and these were needed actually. So a kind of cooperation will be the ultimate need here, and a qualified bureaucracy will be needed, although the emphasis of the civilian bureaucracy will be lowered with the decision of CDS, but it will still be there, and the integration must be there both for civilian and military expertise, and that is ultimate need. And in which way this is going to unfold, it's a great opportunity, but in which way they are going to consider those suggestions, and in which way they are going to appoint the first CDS, that is to be seen in the time, because that will be extremely important. Because in this conflicting times, as I explained in these previous articles, in these conflicting times we are taking this big decision, and whole world is looking at this CDS issue, because it was an announcement by Mr. Modi from Lal Killa. So that was very huge, and it's a kind of a complete game changer. It can be possibly if they take this issue in a very efficient way. So this is all for this article. Next, regarding the Lancet report. Lancet report criticized the Kashmir situation. Lancet report is a weekly report, peer-reviewed journal, medical journal, and IMA is a body in India where more than 5 lakh doctors are the members of it, and they always read this report. It's an important journal, and it was established in 19th century. It's a well-reputed, best-known journal, medical journal, and it's a well-known issue. The approach is also very much known. Now, in the Kashmir situation, it said something which was somewhat political, and in this conflicted situation where we are dealing with this huge decision that we have turned J&K into a union territory, here in the starting and in the conclusion it created a controversy. It said that in its report that government has taken a controversial move that gives government greater authority over the state's affairs, and military presence which is increased a lot, that is having serious concerns for physical and mental health for the Kashmiris, where they were struggling for decades and they needed a kind of a calm phase, and psychological impact is there on their new generations. That must not be there, and now Kashmir needs healing from the deep wounds of this decade-old conflict, and instead of that, violence and alienation is there. So that was very much controversial, but one thing is there, that its approach, the Lancet's approach is always there regarding all the conflict areas. It has said something about Sudan, Rohingya, Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Arab Spring, and Canada, US, always. And when it released this issue of Kashmir, on the same day, it also talked about the US situation, where white nationalism is politically dominated in America's scenario, and it is having a very negative psychological impact on some groups. And it criticized the US government for that. And it said that the far right and the Trump administration have fomented and normalized white nationalist sentiment and entitlement with anti-immigrant rhetoric, and which is amplified by conservative media and consumed by the disenfranchised, which are the weaker sections. So this is a problem in America. So this thing was informed by Lancet publication. Now that means it has written about all the conflicts, because they were affecting the physical and mental health of the big populations there, whether it is US, Canada, Sudan, Arab area, Gaza area, Iraq, Afghanistan, anywhere. So in the same way they have talked about Kashmir issue. But Indian Medical Association, which is a regular reader, and these people are well known to the approach of Lancet, they reprimanded and they admonished Richard Horton, the editor-in-chief of the journal, and that was very much unfortunate. Why? Because doctor's job, the medical area, is a noble area, and it is not concerned with the borders. Anywhere when wars are going on and the conflicts are going on, they do their duties, like the Doctors Without Borders, the Medicine Sans Frontieres, and the human rights bodies and all, they all work together to stabilize the people's health condition, physical and mental is way more important. So that's why they always cite the regions also. Means these are the regions that these troubles are rising and people are tortured mentally and physically. So they always talk about those issues. Although it's a nationalistic issue, Kashmir is in India, but IMA being a professional body, they must not admonish. They must know. They must have not admonished the editor-in-chief there, because it's a professional issue there, and they always have this approach of criticizing the situations there because it is affecting the masses, their physical and mental health. So that was unfortunate according to the writer there. Kashmir is a nationalistic issue, it's a very sensitive issue, it's an emotional issue, but IMA is a professional body and they must care about the people's physical and mental health anywhere in this world. So that's the situation here. But this nationalistic fervor is going on in India, and everyone is going in this fever, and we have to see always that what are the ethical responsibilities of every individual or any other body. So that's all for today. We will meet again in the evening with the MCQ lesson, and please do attend that lesson also. And this is all. You can make your own opinions. I have explained to you all these articles. Thanks a lot. Keep watching to the mix.